Have you ever left a meeting and immediately regretted how you showed up? Maybe you snapped, you froze, or you shut down. And then the rest of the day, you're just spent replaying that moment again and again and again. That's not a sign that you're bad at your job. It's a sign that your emotions are a bit overloaded. Learning to recognize that is emotional regulation. But the way that we view emotional regulation is about staying calm or pushing our feelings away. But what it truly is about knowing your emotional signals well enough so that you can show up and still move through it despite what's happening. So much of content in leadership space today is about tactical things. Time management, communication, navigating stakeholders. And those things are 100% useful. They're true. But there's something that's underlying it and a real issue that people tend to not look at. There are emotional cues. Sometimes we call these subconscious or intuition. They're these hits saying that, hey, something's going on. That time when you walked into an important stakeholder meeting and your heart was pounding and you're a little bit anxious. Maybe you had a bit of imposter syndrome when you were leading your last team meeting. And so often we push through this and ignore these signals, thinking that if we do so, they'll go away. But in reality, these emotions are information for us. They tell us that there's something that needs some attention, whether that's externally or internally. And that's what emotional regulation is. It's not suppression, it's intention, and learning how to respond intentionally, not reacting blindly. I had a manager once that used tactics that most leadership manuals would advise not to use, using things like pressure and threats to try to get things done. At the time, I knew that because I was fairly new to this company, that I didn't want to shake the boat, that if I spoke up, then it would mean bad things for me. I ended up getting super burnt out, and it wasn't a good experience. I felt anger, I felt overwhelmed, I felt stressed. But because I wasn't able to fully label them and accept them, it was too late by the time that I was reaching burnout. Here are 3 emotional signals leaders should stop ignoring. Anger. Anger is a signal that something feels violated, but it's not always external. Maybe something has crossed a boundary, or there's some unspoken or unmet expectation or assumption. Anger is a signal, not a verdict. With anger, you want to ask yourself, what's this emotion trying to protect? Anger is a surface level emotion. It's usually shielding something that's a little bit more vulnerable, something like fear, shame, or sadness. Then ask yourself, is it calling for action or awareness? Sometimes situations require us to do something about it, and sometimes we need to do a little bit of reflection. Strong leaders don't suppress our anger, but they investigate it. Overwhelm. Overwhelm is not a weakness. It's our system warning, saying that, hey, we might need to reset soon. Usually this means that things that are coming to us are exceeding our processing capabilities, whether this is mentally, emotionally, or physically. It's a sign that's saying that there's something unsustainable going on. Ask yourself, what's contributing to this overwhelm? And is it something that I can control or influence? Maybe it's a scope problem, a boundary issue, or a lack of clarity. Strong leaders use overwhelm as feedback to do a system-level reflection, whether that's to reset expectations, delegate effectively, or clarify what's actually important. Fear. Fear isn't weakness. It's your radar system. Flight or fight is a real thing. Back in the day, we would use it as a signal of, is there something physically around us that could be potentially harmful? So it picks up real threats. But sometimes it picks up false positives too. It usually means that we need to slow down and pay closer attention. Maybe that fear is something that you care about. It's an outcome, a relationship, or a value. Ask yourself, is this fear protecting me, or is it holding me back? Is it grounded in the present, or is it echoing some outdated pattern? Strong leaders decode fear and use it to pattern match. Assess if it's useful caution, or it's limiting self-protection, and then act with clarity. So now that you understand emotions a little bit better, here's a system that helps to work with any emotion. So step 1, pause and notice. Create space between the trigger and the action. Ask yourself, what am I actually feeling right now? Step 2, label and learn. Name the emotion clearly. Even if you're unsure, just describe what you're physically feeling or emotionally feeling. If you don't have the right words, just label around it, and often that will help you find the right word. Then ask, what is this emotion trying to point me to? What's it trying to protect or show me? Step 3, choose your action. Don't jump to fixing. Decide deliberately what to do next. Often you want to address the emotion itself as well, but also take action and figure out what's something that you need to actually do here. Respond from clarity, not habit. True leadership is built in this space between stimulus and choice. Here's a pro tip. Practice this in low-stake moments so it becomes your default in high-stake ones. Why does this matter? There's probably a leader that you really look up to. They come with a lot of presence and groundedness. They ask good questions, they show up, they care. And they probably know how to regulate their emotions so that they can recognize what's going on and respond intentionally. They create psychological safety because their team doesn't have to second guess what version of their boss is going to show up. Because of that, they create decisions from clarity, not reaction. They set boundaries earlier, which reduces burnout and resentment. Emotional steadiness and regulation isn't about being detached. It's about depth with discipline. The next time you feel off, pause and ask yourself, what am I feeling? And what is that feeling trying to protect or show me? That one question builds the habit of emotional regulation quite fast. You can journal about it, and that helps a lot as well. So your emotions aren't a liability. Start using them, because regulated does not mean repressed. It means intentional. So if you want to learn how to give feedback with a little bit more clarity, check out this next video.